Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that starts quietly, almost like any other ordinary day, but slowly turns into something no one could have expected. It's about a single dad, a lost little girl, and a truth that changed everything in ways that still feel unbelievable. The morning had begun, like most others for Daniel. The sun was barely up when he packed his daughter's lunch, checked his watch, and grabbed his worn jacket from the chair near the door. Being a single dad wasn't something he had planned for, but life doesn't always ask for permission before changing your path. His wife had passed away years ago, and since then, every decision he made was centered around one thing only: his child. He worked long hours as a delivery driver, not because he loved the job, but because it paid the bills and kept food on the table. That day, after dropping his daughter off at school, Daniel took a shortcut through a small park to save time. It wasn't a place he usually stopped, but as he walked past the swings, something caught his attention. A little girl sat alone on a bench, her feet barely touching the ground. She looked no older than 6 or 7. Her hair was neatly tied, her clothes were clean, but her face was filled with quiet fear. She wasn't crying, which somehow made it more alarming. Daniel slowed down and looked around. No parents, no guardians. Just the soft sound of leaves moving in the wind. His instincts kicked in immediately. As a father, he knew that look. It was the look of a child who didn't know where to go. He approached gently, careful not to scare her. He asked if she was okay and if she knew where her parents were. The girl shook her head. Her voice was barely above a whisper when she said she couldn't find her mom. She explained that they had been walking together, and then she got distracted by a dog. When she turned back, her mom was gone. Daniel felt a tight knot form in his chest. Panic in a child spreads fast, if not handled with care. He crouched down, smiled softly, and told her everything would be okay. He gave her his name and asked for hers. She said her name was Lily. She clutched a small pink backpack as if it was the only thing keeping her grounded. He asked if she remembered her mom's phone number, but she didn't. He asked where they lived, but all she knew was that their house was very big and had lots of shiny windows. That description didn't help much, but it told him one thing clearly: this child was not from his world. Still, lost was lost, no matter where you came from. Daniel called the local authorities and explained the situation. While waiting, he sat with Lily, keeping her calm by talking about school, favorite cartoons, and ice cream flavors. She slowly began to relax. She even smiled once when he told her a silly joke his daughter loved. In that moment, Daniel didn't feel like a delivery driver or a struggling single dad. He just felt like a parent doing what any parent should do. When the police arrived, they took down his details and asked Lily more questions. That's when things began to feel strange. Within minutes, several black cars pulled up near the park. Men in suits stepped out, scanning the area with serious expressions. Daniel stood up, confused. This didn't look like a normal response to a lost child. One of the officers received a call and suddenly became very attentive. His tone changed. He asked Daniel to stay close and told him that Lily's mother was on her way. Moments later, a sleek black car stopped nearby, and a woman stepped out. She was elegant, composed, and clearly used to being in control. Even without knowing who she was, Daniel could tell she was someone powerful. The moment Lily saw her, she jumped off the bench and ran toward the woman, shouting, "Mommy!" The woman dropped everything and knelt down, hugging her tightly. Relief washed over her face, followed by emotion she clearly wasn't used to showing in public. That's when Daniel overheard the officer quietly mention her name. It was a name he had heard many times before, on television, in news articles, and in conversations about business and wealth. Lily's mother was a billionaire, one of the most successful businesswomen in the country. Daniel felt a wave of disbelief. He looked down at his worn shoes and then back at the woman surrounded by security. This felt like two different worlds colliding in the middle of a quiet park. The woman stood up and turned toward him. Her eyes met his, and she walked over slowly. She thanked him for staying with her daughter and keeping her safe. Her voice was calm, but there was genuine gratitude in it. Daniel brushed it off, saying he only did what anyone would do. But she didn't let it end there. She asked him questions about how he found Lily, how long he stayed, whether he had somewhere important to be. When he mentioned he was late for work, she frowned slightly, as if realizing something important. She insisted on driving him home so he wouldn't lose his job over helping her daughter. Daniel hesitated. He wasn't comfortable accepting favors, especially from someone like her. But she insisted, and the officers assured him it was okay. During the drive, the conversation deepened. She learned that Daniel was a single dad. She asked about his daughter, his work, his life. Unlike what he expected, she didn't talk about money or business. She listened. Really listened. By the time they reached his apartment building, her expression had changed. She looked around at the old structure, the peeling paint, the narrow stairs. It wasn't pity in her eyes, but something closer to realization. Before leaving, she handed him her card and told him to call if he ever needed anything. Daniel thanked her politely respectfully, but assumed he never would. People like her didn't stay connected to people like him. Weeks passed. Daniel returned to his routine: work, school runs, late nights, and early mornings. The memory of that day slowly faded, becoming just another story he would one day tell his daughter. Then, one afternoon, his phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize. When he answered, the voice on the other end was familiar. It was Lily's mother. She told him she had been thinking a lot about what happened that day. About how a stranger gave her daughter something priceless, safety and kindness, without expecting anything in return. She shocked him by saying she wanted to help. Not with charity, not with a handout, but with an opportunity. She had a foundation focused on community support and family services, and she wanted him to be part of it. She believed people who understood real struggles should help shape real solutions. Daniel was stunned. He tried to refuse, saying he wasn't qualified, but she reminded him that empathy and responsibility couldn't be taught in classrooms. They were lived. Long story short, Daniel accepted. His life didn't magically become perfect overnight, but it changed. His work had purpose. His daughter had stability. And most importantly, he realized that one simple act of kindness could open doors you never even knew existed. The biggest shock wasn't that Lily's mom was a billionaire. It was that, despite all her wealth, what truly mattered to her in that moment was the same thing that mattered to Daniel every single day: her child. And that's today's reminder. Sometimes, the most powerful connections don't come from money, status, or influence. They come from doing the right thing when no one is watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.